he says, he escaped down the walls of Damascus in a basket to escape the Arab king Aretas's representatives who wanted to arrest him. Ha, that's a bit of a shift. Oh, what's the answer? The official answer. Oh, Paul escaped down the walls of Damascus twice. Once from the Jews who wanted to kill him, ergo Acts, and once from the representatives of Aretas who wanted to arrest him. Oh, come on. I don't believe that for a moment. I don't think he went down the walls of Damascus twice. Should we try for 3? No. I don't think so. In New Testament studies, primary documents always take precedence over secondary documents. I've said that to you before, but I'll say it to you again. Paul's letters, insofar as they're authentic, are primary documents. They take precedence over things like Acts or the Gospels, which are secondary documents. What do I mean? They're documents based on what someone thinks someone else said or did, what third parties present someone else as saying or doing. I know that in religious environments, those are considered the Word of God. Well, so be it. For religious environments, some religious environments, bin Laden is the Word of God, and others are expecting the Mahdi to return pretty soon, and so on and so forth. We've had some religious individuals sitting here who probably have some very strange views of what would be entertained as historical truth. Antichrists and angels and different things like that. I once asked some of my students, have you ever seen an angel? And some have, some haven't. But I know that, I gave that example, but I know the angel dictated the Quran to Muhammad and so on. Gabriel, of course, who isn't the dictating angel as we saw. But, as I think I once implied here, if I were down in the student union and I were talking to someone, hey, I was on the way up in the freeway in my car this morning and an angel suddenly appeared to me, people sitting around me in the student union would pull away and try to move their tables away. Because you see, what in the past we accept as fact, in the present we would put someone in an institution for. I know that's harsh, but think about it and you'll see it is true. Claims that are in the past we accept. But if someone's made the same claim in the present, we would think they were ready for institutionalization or something else. That's just the way people's minds work. They credit things in the past that they would not credit in the present. So secondary documents, secondary documents that have more literary materials in them. So what Paul says in 1 Corinthians, trying to escape the representatives of Aretas, trumps trying to escape the Jews who wanted to kill him. It may have been both, but the point is that one is different than the other. And it's been consciously shifted by somebody. It's been conscious of someone who wanted to make it more unpleasant, put it that way. But there were Jews who wanted to kill Paul. That comes out later in Acts because of some of the things he was preaching, but I don't think this was going on in Damascus. So in any event, for instance, the vision on the road to Damascus is not mentioned in Galatians. It's only Acts, recreation of something. Paul says in Galatians 1, if you haven't read it, you should read it. I was, something about meeting Peter. In any case, I went to Damascus, and then I went away to Arabia, and I didn't come back to Damascus for 3 years. But it doesn't say anything about a vision on the road to Damascus. That's literary elaboration, true or false, is up to you to decide. So, Galatians trumps Acts. 2 Corinthians trumps Acts. Acts may be true, but those things are what we call first-person testimony. So Damascus is very important. I think you'll find if you read some of my books, James or this other book, that Arabia extended, and I have a map in here of Arabia, where the Romans thought all this area were Arabs and Arabia. And I have a map here that shows here that Arabia extends all the way up, just like we are today here in Mesopotamia, this whole area here, and even into northern Syria. I think Paul went away to northern Syria, to what we today might refer to as Antioch. But there were 4 Antiochs at that time in the Seleucid Empire. I told you that. One by the Mediterranean, one in what we call Turkey, Antioch Pisidia, as Acts calls it. One down by the Gulf of Persian Gulf, which is today called Basra. It had, I forget what, I have it on the map in there, it's Antioch something else. And one in northern Syria that we ended up calling Edessa, which is, by the way, where the Holy Shroud came from, which is really interesting. Of course, there were important conversions taking place in northern Syria at this time. By the way, that's my theory about MMT, that it was a letter, because there's a king mentioned in there. And it's obviously not a Jewish king, because it's a king who needs tuition about the law. And it seems to be addressed to a king who's clearly a convert king. And I think it's a letter to this king in northern Syria, where Paul was operating, by the way. Josephus talks about a Queen Helen of Adiabene and her conversion to Judaism. Adiabene is northern Syria, northern Iraq, today what we call Kurdistan. I don't know if they were actual Kurds there at this time. We've all heard of Kurds now. And she'd be a Kurdish queen, although I don't know if they were called Kurds then and what the population consistency exactly was. But she was also, I think, the Syriac texts tell us she was married to the king in the Edessites. And Eusebius talks about that. He says he found a document in the chancellery offices of Edessa, which is Antioch Orho, the Syrian Antioch, or Antioch by Calirho, Antioch on the river Calirho, not Antioch on the Orontes, which is the city in present-day northern Lebanon, Syrian Mediterranean coastline, which is what Christianity thinks Antioch was. No, I think when the Book of Acts says Christians were first called Christians in Antioch, they mean northern Syria. They don't mean, I don't think anything was happening on the coast of the Mediterranean Antioch. Nothing.